Hey all, Hipper here. So if there's something that I really enjoy in the world of gaming, it is 3D platformers. And that's why I'm so happy to have finally found a good one. And it's called Kena Bridge of Spirits. Now it's actually pretty old, I think it's 2 years old by now, but I bought it 2 years ago and I never actually played it. And it's excellent. So I'm just gonna go through it here in a video for you guys. So if you have any interest in 3D platformers, stick around. 3D platformers like Banjo-Kazooie here are rare these days. There are hardly any of them available out there. And if you remember back to PlayStation or PlayStation 2 with Jak and Daxter, 3D platformers were everywhere. And of course they're still alive on Nintendo's consoles, but on the other platforms they seem to have merged more into other genres, like for example the Lego games or the Horizon games, so more into games like Tomb Raider as well, where there's some platforming elements, and even Returnal here I also consider a bit of a platformer, but of course nothing like the real thing, and the closest we're getting is probably something like Stray lately. So exactly because 3D platformers are so rare these days, we have to enjoy the very few ones that we actually get outside of Nintendo's platforms. And that's why I'm a little bit disappointed that I've been waiting this long to find Kena, because this is great. This is an excellent platformer. It's not a full-blooded collectathon like we had back in the Nintendo 64 and the early PlayStation days, but it's close enough. The game does have that feel of old, of 1995, 1999, like the heyday of 3D platformers, where the mechanics are super solid, and it's all about the exploration, the adventure, and having the environment as your biggest enemy, and of course double jumping. That is included in this game, and it's awesome. I love double jumping. The platforming mechanics in Kena are solid as rock. I mean, this is one well optimized and thoroughly tested game. Everything is tightly controlled, and if you make a mistake, it's your problem. It is not the controls. You are not allowed to blame the controls here, because they are excellent. They are very, very tight and very well thought out. The game feels super fluid because of this, and you're never really in a situation where you get frustrated or anything like that. Graphically, the game is super impressive. It's very colorful and very playful, and at the same time it keeps that right look. And the cutscenes especially are very impressive, and it's easy to see that the developer has some experience in actual 3D animation movies here. But as I said, the look and feel of the game and the whole atmosphere, it just brings me back to the good old days of 3D platformers, where everything was about colorful textures, good soundtracks, and funny sounds, and like everything just playing into giving you a very, very, very nice experience. Like for example in Spyro comes to mind, Banjo-Kazooie, Super Mario 64, all those classic games. And this one here is right up that alley. The platforming takes probably a little bit of a backseat, but the exploration is there, and it's a game I can recommend completely. So combat obviously also plays a role in this game, but not too much, and that's very important, because I don't like games where I have to fight enemies all the time. I want it to be like sort of a Tomb Raider game, where once in a while you have an enemy to beat down, and that's fine. Then you have like 10-15 minutes of exploration, and that's exactly what this game does. But when you do have to fight, the mechanics are just as solid as the platforming. They're really, really satisfying, and you can upgrade, of course, your moves as you move along in the game. And while you are fighting like 1, 2, 3, 4 enemies, whatever, there's never any problems with the mechanics at all. It just works beautifully. It's smooth, and it makes sense. Nothing is out of order or anything like that. It's a fabulous experience, and it just really like makes the game pretty much a 10 out of 10 for me, really. And that's very, very rare, even though that it's not really a completely perfect 3D platformer from back in the day, but it's very, very close. Traversing the environments is just such a joy, and doing it in such a lush and powerfully colorful world just makes it even more interesting. And in my opinion, I think platformers, they have to be colorful, they have to be playful, they have to have that little bit of a cartoony look. And Kena here just hits it like 10 out of 10. It's a fantastic game, a very, very good platformer. And I think it's available right now in the PlayStation Store for about $20. I mean, that's a steal. So if you don't have this game, you should go out and buy it immediately.